They said she would never walk. Not kindly, not cruelly either, just clinically, as if they were talking about a broken appliance, not a 6-year-old girl with bright eyes and a laugh that filled rooms when she wasn't in pain. The doctors spoke in percentages and probabilities, in careful sentences designed to protect themselves from hope. Billionaire-funded hospitals, world-famous specialists, machines that hummed softly while her parents held their breath. Every verdict was the same. Permanent damage, no cure, manage expectations. Her mother collapsed in tears the first time she heard it, gripping the edge of the desk so tightly her knuckles turned white. Her father stood silent beside her, nodding as if he understood, as if acceptance was already forming in his chest. But inside him, something refused to settle. He was a single dad now. The accident had taken more than their daughter's ability to walk. It had taken their marriage too. The stress, the blame, the endless hospital nights, it all fractured them beyond repair. Her mother moved back in with her parents, shattered, exhausted, drowning in guilt she couldn't shake. And he stayed. Every morning, every night, every appointment, every setback, he learned how to lift her without hurting her. How to read the smallest changes in her breathing. How to smile when his heart felt like it was being crushed slowly, day by day. They gave him pamphlets, wheelchair catalogs, support group flyers. They told him to focus on quality of life. He nodded, thanked them, took the papers home, and then he did something no one expected. He stopped listening to what couldn't be done. He started watching his daughter instead. At night, when the house was quiet and the pain meds finally eased her into sleep, he sat beside her bed and studied her legs. Not as broken things, but as parts of her that still responded. Tiny muscle twitches, reflexes doctors had dismissed as meaningless. But he noticed something else. When she laughed, her toes curled. When she was angry, her calf tightened. When she concentrated hard enough, something inside her tried to answer. He began reading. Not miracle blogs, not scams. Actual research papers buried behind paywalls. Old rehabilitation studies. Forgotten case notes. Therapies abandoned not because they failed, but because they were slow, expensive, and didn't fit insurance models. He couldn't afford billionaire doctors. But he had time, and stubborn love. He turned their living room into something between a playroom and a rehab center. Foam mats, resistance bands, parallel bars he built himself from scrap metal and borrowed tools. He watched physical therapists online late into the night, replaying videos until he memorized hand placements and angles. At first, it was just play. Games where she had to wake up her legs by touching them, naming them, imagining colors flowing through them. He made it silly, made it fun, never told her it was therapy. Her mother visited once a week. She watched from the doorway, heart aching, unsure whether to feel hope or fear. "You shouldn't get her hopes up," she whispered once. He didn't answer. He never promised walking. He promised trying. Weeks turned into months. There were setbacks. Days when pain won. Nights when she cried and begged him to stop. Days when he locked himself in the bathroom and pressed his forehead against the mirror, silently screaming because nothing seemed to change. Doctors warned him not to push her. Friends said he was in denial. Even his own family gently suggested acceptance. But then, one morning, something happened. She was sitting on the mat, focused on a silly game he invented, pretending her legs were sleepy dragons that needed to be coaxed awake. She frowned, in concentration, tongue peeking from the corner of her mouth. "Daddy," she said suddenly. "I think one dragon moved." He froze. "What do you mean?" She pointed to her foot. It listened. He watched, held his breath. "Can you try again?" he asked carefully. She scrunched her face, closed her eyes, and focused. Her toe moved, just a little, but it moved. He didn't cheer, didn't cry, didn't scare her with emotion. He just smiled and said, "Good job." That night, when she slept, he cried so hard his chest hurt. He never told the doctors. Not yet. He kept going. Slow, patient, relentless. He learned how to stimulate nerves gently. How to strengthen supporting muscles without overloading damaged ones. How to push just enough, and stop before fear took over. A year passed, then another. The wheelchair gathered dust in the corner. Not because she didn't need it, but because she needed it less. She could sit up longer, balance better, shift her weight, stand with support. Her mother saw it one afternoon and dropped her purse. What is this? She whispered. He stepped back and said, watch. He positioned their daughter between the parallel bars. Kneeling in front of her, eyes level with hers. You don't have to, he reminded her. She nodded, serious now. She gripped the bars, and stood. Her knees shook violently. Her legs trembled like they might give out any second. But she was upright. Her mother covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Daddy, the little girl said, voice trembling but proud. I'm tall. They called the doctors then. The same specialists. The same hospitals. They were polite, skeptical, curious. Tests were run again. Scans repeated. One doctor stared at the results longer than necessary. This shouldn't be possible, he murmured. But it was. They asked what treatment program he used. He shrugged. I watched my daughter. Months later, during a follow-up appointment, the moment came that no one was prepared for. Her mother was there, nervous, hopeful, afraid to believe. The doctor asked, would you like to try taking a few steps? The room felt too quiet. Her father moved behind her, hands hovering inches away but not touching. You don't have to, he said softly. She nodded anyway. One step, wobbly, another. Her mother collapsed into the chair, sobbing openly, hands shaking uncontrollably. By the fifth step, she was laughing. Not because it was easy, but because it was real. The doctor wiped his eyes and turned away. She rewired, he said quietly. Through repetition, through belief, through time. No machine had done that. No billionaire-funded procedure. Just a single dad who refused to stop seeing possibility. Years later, she ran. Not fast, not perfectly, but freely. At a school event, her mother watched her cross the field, legs strong, smile wide, hair flying behind her. She turned to him, tears in her eyes. You did what none of them could. He shook his head gently. She did. That night, as he tucked his daughter into bed, she wrapped her arms around his neck. You never gave up on my dragons, she whispered. He kissed her forehead. Never, he said, and in that quiet room, the truth settled softly between them. Sometimes miracles don't come from wealth or power or genius. Sometimes they come from staying. From patience. From a single parent who refuses to accept that love has limits. And from a child who learns to walk not because she was told she could, but because someone believed she already was trying.